Hey guys, nice that you're watching again. This is a guide for the Burning Crusade dungeon Slave Pens. I divided the video up into 5 parts, so if you want to skip to a specific part, you're free to do so. The first part we're gonna go through is the quest you need to pick up before we go and do the dungeon. The second one is the location on the world map. The third one is the route through the dungeon. I will show you with the map how you're gonna walk through. Then we're gonna go through the boss fights, both the tactics and the loot for each boss. And at the end we will discuss specific mobs with maybe dangerous skills, if any. The quest for this dungeon is a combination quest. It's called Lost in Action and you can pick it up at the character next to the meeting stone of the slave pens. It's a combination quest for the slave pens and the underbog. The meeting stone is shared, so it's the same location. And you need to find 4 NPCs, 2 in each dungeon. The entrance for the slave pens is in the Coilfang Reservoir in Sangarmarsh. It's the same entrance as the one for Underbog and also for Steam Falls, and later also the Serpent Shrine Cavern raid. This is the route you will be taking through the dungeon. You start at the O, you end at the X, and the 1, 2 and 3 are the bosses. Where you see number 2, Rockmar the Crackler, that's also where the shortcut for the way back is when you are done with the dungeon. This here is the first boss fight, Manu the Betrayer. He's a shaman, so he can put down totems, so make sure when you're fighting him that you kill the totems right away. They can either heal him or give him a damage buff or reduce your damage. As always, totems have low HP, a bit more than of course PvP totems, but you should just prioritize them and they won't be very hard to kill. This is the loot that the first boss drops. If you want to take a look at it, you can pause the video for a little bit. After killing the first boss and moving on, you will find the jump here. You will jump into the water, clear some mobs and walk up the ramp a little bit further. When you watch up the ramp, this is the place where you will find Weeder Greenthumb. He is one of the guys you need for the quest Lost in Action. The second boss, Rockmar the Crackler, has some mechanics to keep in mind. The first mechanic is Grievous Wound, and it will put a bleed on its current target, which will almost always be the tank, unless anybody over-aggroes. The bleed will keep on going until the player is either dead or healed to full HP. Divine Shield and Stone Form can also remove these skills. The second skill is Water Spit. It's a 40-yard range AoE, so just be sure to stay on maximum range if possible. It deals 1600 to 1800 frost damage to nearby targets, so everybody within 40 range will be hit by it. The third skill is Ensnaring Moss. It's a thing on the floor where you can stand in and it increases your attack speed and your casting time by 50%. The range is about 30 yards, so if you're healing, be sure to get out of this, because if you get it, you will probably wipe because your tank needs to be topped because of the debuff. Here's the loot for this boss. Same as before, if you want to check it out, just pause the video. When you enter the final boss room, you'll see a cage here. The cage will have Naturalist Bite inside. You can talk to him, he's one of the guys you also need for the quest Lost in Action. When you go talk to him, he will spawn this patrol, so make sure to turn around and kill the patrol right away. Then you can go back to the Naturalist, talk to him and get a buff from him. Then we get to the final boss, Quagmiran. As soon as you walk towards the water, he will start walking out, so you don't have to go all the way to him, you can stand at the edge and wait for him to come. Of course it's better because then you'll have more mobility instead of the whole party being in the water. The boss has 2 skills. One is called Acid Geyser and it will target a random party member, face towards it and spit his Acid Geyser. It does a lot of AoE damage so people can get out of the way, or the tank can taunt him to turn him around again. The problem is though, after this skill, the boss will walk towards the member he targeted and it's probably like a full aggro reset. So as a tank, if you don't have 2 taunts, it's probably nice to save your taunt to use after the skill. The second skill is Poison Bolt Volley. It's a usual AoE Poison Bolt. It is for 2.5k nature damage, but it also has a poison damage over time effect. This can be dispelled, so it's really important for everybody that can dispel poisons to get on it right away. And here is the loot for the final boss. In the slave pens, there's no direct way back from that final boss to the dungeon. There is a small shortcut to get back though. Once you get to the location where you killed the second boss, you can jump in the water, and on the other side of the water you can walk up the ramp, and then you'll be pretty close to the exit again. As always, thanks for watching, I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!